Diego Pavia is a confident young man. On the Busting the Boys podcast, the Vanderbilt quarterback said that, quote, Vanderbilt's going to run Tennessee after this year, end quote. Whoa now. There are so many reasons why this statement is possibly wrong. First, to run Tennessee, you have to beat Tennessee, and Tennessee dominated Vandy last season by a 36-23 score on the road. Second, Tennessee is way ahead of Vanderbilt in the Power Ranks preseason college football model. Right now, I'm making Tennessee about a 14-point favorite at home against Vandy this year. Look, I know Pavia had some decent points, saying that if Vandy can win this year, they can take advantage of all the Nashville money dying to support a college football team. But it's a cocky statement, especially because of a third reason: interceptions. Let me explain. Let's say that Vandy is playing Tennessee and Pavia throws a ball deep down the right sideline. The defense has good coverage, and in this case, the cornerback gets a hand on the ball. Many things can now happen. Sometimes the ball flops harmlessly on the ground, incomplete, and the offense gets to play another down. Sometimes the ball lands in the hands of the safety coming over from the middle, a turnover by interceptions. My research shows two things. One, the quarterback has a remarkable amount of control over whether the defense gets a hand on the ball. Two, once the defense gets a hand on the ball, it's almost completely random what happens next, or whether that ball flops harmlessly to the ground or becomes an interception. Let's put some numbers behind these two statements. Here, I'm going to look at year-to-year correlations for quarterbacks in college football. First, we'll look at interception rate, and then something that I call bad ball rate. In this study, I look at quarterbacks in college football with at least 50 pass attempts with the same team over consecutive seasons. I have data over the last 4 seasons, which gives me 244 data points at the FBS level. First, let's look at interception rate. Here, we're finding a really weak correlation from year to year. You can think of this in terms of a plot of data. Let's say we plot interception rate from last season on the x-axis, and then we plot interception rate from this season on the y-axis. When there's a weak correlation, you see a random scatter of points. There's no clear relationship between the two quantities. Here, I'm going to talk about something called an R-squared value. This is something that's very important to linear regression analysis. When you look at interception rate for college football quarterbacks from year to year, you get an R-squared value of 0.01. This means that there's no statistical relationship between these two quantities. That means that there's just a scatter of points when you look at the plot. If you would like a visual primer on linear regression and R-squared values, there's one on my site. It's a piece of content I'm really proud of. You can use the URL thepowerrank.biz to check it out. Once again, that's thepowerrank.biz. That's B-I-Z. Instead of just interceptions, I'm also going to now look at passes defended. These are plays tracked in the college football play-by-play in which the defense gets a hand on the ball. This is similar to the situation that I talked about earlier with that Diego Pavia pass. In my work, I define bad balls as the sum of interceptions and passes defended. Now we can look at bad ball rate, which is simply bad balls divided by pass attempts. And now let's look at the year-to-year correlation for college football quarterbacks. Now we're getting an R-squared value of 0.13. Usually this isn't a value that I get too excited about in terms of making predictions, but we do have evidence that bad ball rate is a useful metric from the NFL. I've done the NFL analysis for years now. Season to season, NFL quarterbacks, their bad ball rate has an R-squared value of 0.27. That is really predictive as far as NFL player metrics go, and it's something that I've used in the past. I do believe there's some predictive power in bad ball rate for college football quarterbacks. You can also think about it in a different way. Interceptions are rare events. In 2024, 2.8% of pass attempts ended up as interceptions in college football. Sometimes, to predict these rare events, it helps to look at a bigger set of events. Bad balls include both interceptions and passes defended, and bad ball rate had an average of 13.3% for college football quarterbacks last season. I've been running these bad ball calculations in the NFL for a while now, and I've used these to bet on NFL interception props. 2023 was fantastic as these bets were up 22.99 units. Last year, the markets changed significantly and a lot of the easy stuff went away, and my volume of bets went down. Still, the bets were up plus 4.9 units. The bad ball analysis is also useful for making preseason predictions. As an example, let's look at what I said about Tennessee Titans quarterback Will Levis before the start of last season. In 2023, Levis, as a rookie, took over midway through the season, and he was good. Part of his success was a fantastic interception rate of 1.6%, much better than the 2.3% NFL average. However, there were warning signs for Levis. As a rookie, he had a 16.9% bad ball rate, which is much worse than the NFL average of 11.7%. My model predicted a lot more interceptions for Levis in 2024. In particular, the model predicted a 3.1% interception rate. I was way off. Levis had almost a 4% interception rate in 2024. At least my prediction that Levis would throw more picks was correct. Last season, Levis actually had a better bad ball rate than he did as a rookie in 2023. Last year, he had a 12.5% bad ball rate, much better than the 16.9% the season before. Levis got a little bit unlucky with interceptions in 2024. Still, he wasn't good. At the beginning of the season, Levis was viewed as the future for the Tennessee franchise. After the season, Tennessee used the top pick on quarterback Cam Ward. Levis was listed as the backup during this offseason. However, he decided to have shoulder surgery, which means he will miss the entire 2025 season. I'm really rooting for Diego Pavia because he has a great story. As a kid, he was an elite wrestler. On that Bussing with the Boys podcast, he talked about how he was the top wrestler in the nation from 4th to 7th grade. Going into high school, he decided that football was his main love. Despite this change in focus, Pavia was still a 2-time state wrestling champion in high school in New Mexico. Coming out of high school, Pavia didn't get any Division I football scholarship offers. His height probably had something to do with it. He's listed as 6 feet tall on the Vanderbilt site, but his junior college coach says that he is 5'10", maybe 5'11". He went the junior college route to New Mexico Military Institute. Not exactly the glamorous football life. He was there for 2 seasons, and he won a JUCO national championship in his second year. This got him an offer to New Mexico State, where he played the next 2 seasons. In his second season there, he led New Mexico State to a program-defining 31-10 win at Auburn. Last season, he made it to the SEC and became Vanderbilt's starting quarterback in 2025. His team only had a 7-6 record, but the only result most people will remember was an upset win over Alabama. When you look at Diego Pavia's interception rate, it looks like it's headed in the right direction. In 2022, he had a 3.2% interception rate in his first year at New Mexico State. This got better in 2023 at 2.5%. And last season at Vanderbilt, he had a sparkling 1.3% interception rate. However, his bad ball rate tells a different story. His bad ball rate in 2022 wasn't good at 15.8%. This was his first year at New Mexico State. It got better in 2023 at New Mexico State at 12%. However, it really dropped off last season at Vandy. He had a 16.8% bad ball rate compared to the college football average of 13.3. His numbers possibly got worse last year because of the better defense in the SEC. But the point is this. Diego Pavia got really lucky with interceptions in 2024. Let's put this in a different way. Remember, I mentioned that quarterbacks control when they put the ball in danger, but not what happens after that. In college football, on average, about 20.8% of bad balls end up as interceptions. Last year, in 2024, only 8% of bad balls for Diego Pavia ended up as interceptions. We expect strong regression to the college football average of about 20%. In some sense, this analysis was super easy. Diego Pavia had a 1.3% pick rate last season, much better than the 2.8% college football average. With the inherent randomness of interceptions, Pavia was almost certain to do worse this season. However, the bad ball analysis puts the science behind the statement. Members of the Power Rank will have access to this quarterback data for college football this season. Members of the Power Rank have had access to the NFL bad ball data for a couple seasons now. In addition, I will talk about these numbers on the Football Analytics Show during the season as I shift this podcast more towards solo episodes like this season preview episode. Thank you for listening. My name is Ed Fang, your host for the Football Analytics Show. This episode is part of the 2025 preview series, a daily series of podcasts to get you ready for football season. This preview series is brought to you by the Power Ranks Sports Betting newsletter. Looking for some action on any given weekend? This is the free service for you, as 5 Nugget Saturday is my curated list of tips and analytics. To sign up for free, go to thepowerrank.com. That's ThePowerrank. Members of the Power Rank get access to all of my best predictions, analytics, and analysis. There are football spreads, totals, and props every week of the season. To learn more about how to support my work through a membership, go to thepowerrank.net. This is a URL that will take you to a page on my site where you can learn more about a membership to the Power Rank. Once again, that's thepowerrank.net.